What's up, guys? Day 76. Today's a harder day for me, so I'm not going to be carrying a camera today, but I wanted to do something, right? I wanted to have some kind of video go out. So I dug back into the archives and I found this video, and I thought this video was pretty funny because I had shown it to Brandon, the guy who does Dana's YouTube channel, and he had like no idea about a lot of this stuff, right? So I'm realizing that like a lot of people probably don't have an idea about a lot of this stuff. So 3, 2, 1, let's watch it. All right. Oh, it's my old intro. Boom, boom, boom. So, old intro. Jeez. So this is these are, I guess, my two Supras. Interesting. It's so funny looking back, man, and it's so cool to document life. But so when Flagner Fail started getting moving, I started a car shop called the Speed Warehouse, and then I got these two Supras and built them through the Speed Warehouse. And this is Bill and Mike drifting. So the car in the front has a Viper engine, which is kind of crazy. So we got a Viper engine with like, I think a 110 turbo, just stupid big. It's a right-hand drive drift car. And then we built like full wide body kit for it and everything. It's crazy how like far ahead of its time these cars were. I also don't know if I'm using a gimbal here. I have to be using a gimbal. So this is me filming, but you can see the turbo mounted up front. That's so crazy. This was such like a crazy time in my life, because with Flag, like I never really knew how to scale a business, right? And I also wasn't really interested in scaling. Looking back now, I was just like a kid, man. And there's another kid, little Dana Bailey, and we didn't pay attention to a lot of the things that you need to do to scale businesses, systems and processes and everything like that. And our version of like reinvesting in the business was building a full race team, which looking back now, it's like, what were you doing, man? So this race team cost a lot of money. For you guys to know how much Supras cost, here's Bill's side entry. Bill's engine died here, and then boof. Mike hit him. So Bill sort of died, and I guess the car was like losing power. So this is Dana's first ride, and they're moving. I think they're going about 70 to start, and then came to a stop and hit each other. Now, this is like the significance of how this all worked is kind of crazy. There I am. It's like a 32-year-old Rob Bailey. So Bill's panicked right now. The difference between Bill and Mike is Bill understood, because Bill was there the whole time, right? So he saw me on the come up and he realized how hard I work, and he understood money, and he also understood the race team, right? He knew that the race team, the cars had to run, and I can watch this right now and tell that Bill is feeling pressure. Mike, on the other hand, sort of showed up to Flagner Fail after the brand was already doing well, and didn't really respect my finances as much, right? So when something like this would happen, and what happened is, the two drift Supras hit each other. So Bill's having, I guess, an issue with the rear right now because he bent in the rear, which was looking like, hey, it's not going to run. Plus, we need to figure out why the engine stopped. And then Mike cracked his fuel tank. So there was like a possibility that Mike could get this rerunning. Now, this was like a private race day at this racetrack where we were just like dialing in the cars. And even like Mike telling the story right now, like it's all just like jokes to Mike. Mike's such a great kid, but like he really didn't like care about much and didn't really respect a lot of the things, Bill, on the other hand, is fucking panicking right now. So it's crazy, man. That's the trailer with the that's the giant rig that we used to tour in. how the fuck did I finance all these cars? And then back there you can see the Porsche Cayman. We were using that as like a chase car to film, but yeah, we cracked Mike's fuel tank right in half. Looking back now, it's like spent so much money and just sort of got footage of all this. Oh, Dana. Sort of got footage of all of this. And just really didn't maximize what we were doing, right? I think looking back at the YouTube channels now that like absolutely crush, and realizing that like I think we sort of missed a lot of opportunity here. So it started out as fun, and it started out with like super high hopes of just being a marketing company, and then things like this and just losing money, cars doing what cars do, which are exploding, and then everything just not really getting documented properly. It just sort of started to feel weird, you know? So eventually, this was like another chapter that was like really hard to end, but it had to end. Once again, zero regrets with this. It was just like every single weekend, cars blowing up, spending money, and never really being on the track. There goes Dana. Man, that car was great. If you want to buy an entry-level Porsche, the Cayman is phenomenal. It's such a good, well-balanced little car. It's a little underpowered because it's only like 350 horsepower, but man, it's such a good car. Now, this is the shop that blew his mind. Like, that's a Mercedes-Benz. That's super. Like, the amount of dope cars in here, it's like insane. Looking back now, I'm like realizing the building that we owned, realizing that like the car shop that we had, I mean, we had that paint booth back there, Dana's 4Runner that was fully built. Like, I mean, look at that, dude. Look at all that stuff. Like, and that giant building. I feel like Porsche's two death carts, IS300, which still isn't running. It's at Bill's shop, and he just can't seem to get it running. But yeah, fuck, man. Like, looking back on this, right? Looking back on this and seeing everything, I think across the board, I think everyone involved, this was all taken for granted. Like 100% all taken for granted. Like I was able to self-fund a race team and like had full-time employees and just all these different vehicles, all these different Supras. And I think that like we really just, we fucked this all up, you know? I mean, a lot of us did. Looking back now, a lot of it just turned to my frustration for people not taking it serious. And I think I was looked at as a piggy bank there, or like a rich, you know how people look at the rich and they're like, and it just couldn't sustain. It was 3 years of absolute just like fun and disappointment and a really cool opportunity, but really just like bums me out looking back on it now. And I guess the biggest reflection point that I can take is, you know, what am I missing now that maybe I don't stop and appreciate as much? Then even going to this gym, right? Like, holy shit. I know we did a little video on this gym before, but realizing that like, man, we just never got the proper leadership in this gym to run it right. We just never got the managers that cared. We just never got, it just never really came together. And I think that this gym was way ahead of its time. I mean, we're seeing big custom gyms like this now, and I don't think that, it's weird to watch. I'm also in a really weird mood right now. So I'm sorry if my reflection of this video maybe tethered a little bit more on the negative side, but I definitely want to get something out today. I want to make sure I make content even every day, even if I'm like not fucking okay or whatever. But damn, that was when shit worked, man. it's just like, if we would have had a little bit better of a plan. I was such a kid. Like, I really didn't have a plan. I was just like following my heart with all this shit. So stuff like this was enough for me to be really, really excited. But I guess realizing that, like, how expensive this is, like, that's $200,000 cars. So that's 200 grand right now that, like, there's no return other than the guys driving or having fun, and I'm enjoying watching it, you know? Man, that was a cool time. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you bearing with me. Truth be told, I was going to stop vlogging today. I was just going to sort of stop. But I wanted to get something out. So I'm gonna try to get my head organized, and I'm gonna try to get back to vlogging tomorrow. But I just want to put something out. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the fuck out of you. See you guys later.